It's time to make a very rare Harmon Smith retraction. 2 years ago, I actually tried to throw you guys a bone. I actually said that I don't believe that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 should have won Game of the Year over Elden Ring. This was me trying to show solidarity for people. It was me trying to show that I wasn't going to shill for this product just because, this was me just trying to be genuine and honest and just be FromSoftware fans deserve this, they like their game, they're happy with it. What's the big deal about that? Now that I've actually played with Elden Ring, though, fuck them. Elden Ring is trash. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the far superior game. And that really does need to be talked about going into this, because now that I've actually played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, a significant amount, I'm not all the way through it yet, but now that I've actually played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for about 50 hours, right? About halfway through this 100-hour long RPG, it becomes really, really apparent that the game is better made than Elden Ring. It has better visuals than Elden Ring. It has better environments than Elden Ring. It has better mechanics than Elden Ring. More interesting characters, a better story, more interesting mechanics, outside of the combat. It has all of these really, really good story moments that build up to this really interesting kind of existential theme that covers the entire game and really makes you appreciate life and just does such a good job getting across its general ideas. And it does all of that while actually having a sense of humor and having fun, interesting characters that you can relate to and can kind of see the good and bad of, right? You get to see a lot of the party during your adventure. And I love these guys more and more every time I turn the game on. Every little incident, every little adventure, every discussion, you get a lot of their personality. And you really get this sense that this is a great JRPG. This is the kind of stuff that Squaresoft used to make back in the 90s, but they stopped doing in order to chase Western trends, right? This is what a JRPG should be, right? And now that I've actually played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I know a little bit about it, I know a little bit about the DLC, which I have not played yet, to me, I think this really does need to be talked about. The base game is better, and the DLC is better. Because if you actually think about it, Xenoblade Chronicles 3's DLC, it crosses over all, throughout the entire trilogy. 1, 2, 3. Characters from all three team up and do something, and you get a lot of really cool character moments and a lot of lore dumped on you that's been built up over 3 games, okay? Lots of crazy stuff. The fact that so many people freaked out when they saw Alvis back in that initial trailer really goes to show you just how much of an impact Xenoblade Chronicles has had on its audience, right? Far more so than Shadows of the Erdtree, which has you fight a guy that you already beat in the base game. All the reused assets, all the boring, generic ideas strewn throughout, that was already tacked onto an already boring game. Okay. When you really start to examine both games, when you've played both of them, it's impossible not to come away thinking that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is far superior. It's not even really close. And anybody who says otherwise clearly hasn't played Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That is just the reality of it. That's what I did. When I hadn't played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I assumed that people knew what they were talking about when they said Elden Ring was a great game. But now that I've actually played it, I know that it was all a farce and that we can't take what YouTubers say seriously at all. It just boggles the mind just how much Xenoblade Chronicles 3 stomped Elden Ring in every single way, shape, and form, right? And again, really in really unappreciated ways too. The cutscene choreography, right? Like the fight sequences are amazing. You know, the plot twists are phenomenal, right? Like there's just so much you can say about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and what can you say about Elden Ring? Like, oh, it's hard. You just got filtered. Like, that's all it amounts to, right? You know, that's all like any FromSoftware analysis ever amounted to. Like, they don't care about themes, they don't care about the characters, they don't care about the story. Like, no, all they want to do is just like, oh, watch my stream where I play this game, guys, and that's the appeal of Elden Ring, right? It's a stream bait game made for people who don't really think critically about what they're consuming and whether or not it's actually good or not. Right? Like, again, anybody who's actually played more than one FromSoftware game knows how derivative and uninspired and repetitive all of them are. You know, like, it's crazy to see just how little Elden Ring has evolved from Dark Souls, right? It's crazy how few people have pointed out that the plot of Elden Ring is just a straight up rehash of Dark Souls with like, ooh, you're a man of no great renown, but you're coming back from the dead anyway to do something vague and mysterious. Same exact setup as Elden Ring, as Dark Souls. There's no innovation, there's no growth, there's no ability to really make the setting more lived in or interesting. There's no it just feels rather hollow, you could say. It's phenomenal to see to have when you have so much gamer knowledge, so much experience, when you spend all of your time playing games and thinking about this stuff, you really come away with this experience where you're just like, it's honestly not worth my time to even care about Elden Ring. It's not worth my time to care about the Game Awards. It's not worth my time to care about what these idiots are saying online, because when you get right down to it, the only reason why anybody hypes up Elden Ring the way they do, it's because it gets them views. That's the only reason. The only reason that anybody cares about FromSoftware at all is because of its popularity online. Once that fades away, the IP is going to wither to dust. It's gonna burn to ashes, just like the first flame. And that's gonna happen while Nintendo continues innovating and evolving with not just the Xenoblade IP, but with all of their different franchises. You're gonna see new games from them. You're gonna see new RPGs. You're gonna see evolutions of old favorites. You're gonna see remakes and releases of IPs that haven't been made in 20 years. You're going to see all of this high quality stuff while Sony owned FromSoftware tries to get you hyped up for Elden Ring 2, to do the same thing again on a different continent. Who in the world would get excited for that? I sure wouldn't.